Tim, it's great to meet you. Would you go ahead and introduce yourself?
Well, I am Tim Ross, or some people call me Timmy or Terry, because well, Terry is my online, my cartoon persona. So any way you want to do it's fine, or you can just say "Hey you," it's fine too.
Hey, you. Well, hey, you. Any relation to Bob Ross?
Bob Ross is my dad,
No.
but not the painter Bob Ross. He was a different Bob Ross.
So, okay, so you do have a dad named Bob Ross. Well, that I would say there's a good chance of that happening. So that's interesting to know. Well, Tim, I have to admit that watching The Last Page of Summer has opened up a new world in my life that I can't believe exists, and even more, I can't believe I'm only finding out about it now. I'm just absolutely enthralled and fascinated. It's one of the greatest joys in what might be considered a pretty joyless year. So I hope we can change that for others through Supernova. It's also the first feature-length animation accepted into Supernova's annual competition. And that's a big leap forward for us. It's our 5th year as a festival. So it feels like a magical convergence. And I couldn't be more surprised and pleased. Perhaps it's a doorway opened by the pandemic and our need to amplify our new streaming service, Supernova.video. Who knows? I'm just really excited about it. And while Terry and the Apology None universe is new to me and maybe to much of the Supernova audience, it's a huge part of your life. Can you take us back a little and help our viewers understand the origins of this feature film?
Well, first, Terry it's basically me, and basically how I've always seen myself. And so occasionally I cross paths with my cartoon thing, which never mind. Enough about me. Yeah.
You have quite
Well,
a cast of characters along with Terry. So,
yeah, a couple of those are like Rob Van Geist, our genius keyboard player. He's kind of a reflection of me in a certain way, and same with Tracy Trell. She does like saying we're not hippies. How she's so mad at people who call her hippies. I mean, there was truth in that. I had a job where I worked on police cars and fire trucks and stuff, and I had this always had playlists of 60s music, and they would all say it was hippie music, and I'm like, you have no idea what hippie music is. Just because it's from the 60s, to me, the hippie music is what killed the good 60s music. The Beatles and that's psychedelic pop. That's not hippie music. What you doing? But anyway, that's sometime in the O's, like 2006, I decided to write music again because I'd done Apology None in the 90s and stuff, but it wasn't anything particular. And I had a bad writer's block, and I told the guys, at work, hey, you want to start a band? Put up or shut up. We'll start a metal band, because that's what they liked. So none of them showed up. They all stood me up. And I'm like, well, fine, I'll do what I want. And my wife was like, you know how to get over your block? Just do what means a lot to you. And so I was like, I'm going to do that. I love 60s music. So I'm going to make an album, an Apology None album. I'm going to reboot the band and make it all 60s with 60s styles and instrument. And that'll give me the scope, which it did. And about the 4th song in, my wife had said, why can't you do new stuff? So, but it ended up being the album High Society, which was released in 2009, which coincided with our first animated music video for Sunshine, which I don't share because it is awful. Because you got to start somewhere, and it seemed kind of like kindergarten. So I don't promote that one.
Sure.
But within a year, 2010, we came out with the big TV episode, and that's pretty much where we found our look. So just in that 1 year, we evolved quite a bit.
So hold on a sec. Tell me about the big TV episode. So you cut a music video, you've cut an album. All of a sudden, you've got a TV episode.
Yeah, it was a short. It was about I guess 11, 12 minutes, and it was about us being on a talk variety show. Like Mike Douglas or Tony Randall and Dawn, one of those people, kind of, it was an interview show. So we were all interviewed as a band. They showed, it's really funny. They showed a lot of stuff That's kind of where Borso and Flag got started. From the music elitists, they had me in like an electric chair interrogating me.
Sure.
Um, it's pretty funny. It's worth looking at. It's pretty crude, the drawing style, but at least we kind of found our look.
Sure. So you released this album. You did a music video that was crude and but served its purpose. But then you started evolving into animation as a constant companion with the band. So tell me a little bit more about that evolution.
Well, yeah, it started out when I started on High Society in 2006. That's when I made the band, and they ended up. It was going to be a comic strip that was going to put on DeviantArt or something. It was just going to be a comic, and it's the female in the band was named Terry Trail, Teri. So a lot of the first cartoons, that's what she was called, and then it just turned into an animated cartoon. And then it started really bothering me that there were two Terrys because it wasn't written and you couldn't see the spelling difference. So by the time we did Last Page of Summer, we changed it to Tracy officially. So Terry was her middle name. So she, we used to fight over who was going to change her name. And I was originally Terry Winters. And I gave in and finally said, I'm going to change my name. And I changed it to Terry Summer. And that kind of made her angry. But yeah, that's kind of where it was. It became part of my life. The animation bug, it just bit me. And gosh, I just, became part of it. And it took over my life. It just consumed everything because, as well as I do, animation is pretty tedious. And yeah, it just took over. And I love it because I get to be in that world, in the Hula Vista universe. I just get to live there.
Sure. Well, it is. I didn't know that the origins were maybe working more towards a comic book platform, but it makes great sense that could shift into animation. I think that there's a lot of artists that would feel that way, but I also think that it takes a lot of confidence to go into animation. And here you are with a feature length film that to me just shines so brightly. So tell me about the evolution of your confidence within this project and having a side project that consumes your life.
What's funny is ever since my first animation, the Sunshine video, I was really confident. I was showing it to everybody. I put like a mass email at my work where
Yeah.
everyone could see it. So I was like way overconfident because now it's like I wouldn't want anyone to see that. So I mean, the confidence was always there because I guess it was pretty unusual. Even when I went to school for graphic design, there really weren't anybody else making animations, even my teachers. So they were pretty impressed by the video, which is awful. I must tell you. Even the next one we did, One for the Road, it was us in the band getting antagonized by these suits in a car. It's kind of a road rage thing. And even it was pretty much the same animation as Sunshine. It was awful. It was all flip book. It was just, boy, I would love to redo that stuff and make it decent. But you kind of need a starting point as a reference, right?
Absolutely. I've worked with artists for 30 years, and I love the whole understanding that you start someplace and you have to have confidence at all to show work to people. But art is a lifelong endeavor for those who are true artists, and every step of the way is fighting that battle to say, wow, I thought I was great. Now, does that set the tone for me to be better? How do you get there? It's a very long process. And I think that what I'm seeing within your universe is that it's been a beautiful journey. Is that how you would consider it?
Oh yeah, definitely. Changed my life. The last 10 years, just being part of this Tooniverse. It definitely is. Like I said, it started out, I won't even say it started out as a comic strip because I never made any. The only thing I made were some images of the band, like promotional photos to put on the CDs, and I'd share those because it became a cartoon way too quick, or not too quick, but before I could even make anything into a comic or anything. I think I'm not dodging your questions. I'm loopy. What was it exactly you were saying?
Oh, I don't know. I don't think we need. We don't need to go backwards. Let's just go forwards and
Oh, you were saying about the progress
the progress. Yeah.
stuff. Yeah, well, the last page of summer. I don't consider it a stopping point either, because I thought Saturdalia was the end all, because each reel, each act increased in quality until the fourth act. To me, it was just amazing. And then, of course, the last page of summer was, no, the really, really, really music video was the next project. And that was even better. That's when you started going to widescreen and more of a high def. And then by the time last page of summer came around, got even better. And then toward the end of the project, it got better. So if I ever do another one, maybe it'll improve from there.
It'll even improve from there. I have no doubt. Well, let's take a stop or a pause for a second. Talk about Saturdalia. Watching the last page of summer to me was just a tremendous eye opener. And again, seeing that confidence in something that carries itself forward so well. I've watched it twice now already. And I don't think I've ever done that with a work this long that would even be considered for Supernova. So I'm really happy about that. And as I explored a little deeper the other night, I came across Saturdalia, and I thought that there was no way I could see something that made me as happy as the last page of summer, and it seems like I was wrong. So tell us a little bit more about Saturdalia. It's 4 episodes. I know that it's a little bit more surreal than last page of summer, which is saying a lot.
Yeah, we were in sort of a parody kick. We had parodied the Brady Bunch and Partridge Family in an episode called Trapped. It was another road rage thing in the van. And then we did Star Trip, which was our original series Star Trek parody, which was a lot of fun. And we were really having fun with that. So we decided to parody. We were either going to do like a Narnia thing where we get trapped in these different TV universes. And it was originally, it was one of two things. It was going to either be 60s sitcoms like I Dream of Jeannie and Andy Griffith and all those. And the other one was the Sid and Marty Krofft universe of, the early 70s, Land of the Lost and H.R. Puffin stuff, the Bugaloos, Lidsville, and all those. And that's what we decided to go with. And it would have been, we had the advantage of cross-pollinating with my other channel, Transforama, which it's kind of a fantasy-based YouTube channel that has people becoming dragons and things like that. And
even more than this.
Yeah, excuse me. I think I swallowed a battery or something this morning, but it's okay. Yeah, and then we got Wesley Ure, who played Will on Land of the Lost, to do a cameo. So that made it, gave us another reason to do it that way. So that's kind of what it was. And it was really special. It took 2 years to make, and it had a full soundtrack CD album with all original music. And yeah, just got a lot of friends involved to do the voice acting, and just had a great time with it.
Tell us a little bit about the Land of the Lost connection and how that came about. That seems pretty special.
It was really special to me because when it came out, I was just 4 or 5 years old, and my parents got divorced, and we moved from Kansas City to Colorado. So like so many kids that year, like 76, so many kids' parents split up. It was just like a revolution that went on. And Land of the Lost gave the kids a family because their mother had died, and they were in this strange place, and the dad really cared for the kids. And no matter what challenges, they pulled it off together as a family. And we loved that. They were our surrogate TV family, so many kids. And that gave me a huge connection. It became my favorite show ever. And so to get Will, who played Wesley played Will, I think. Yeah, either. Anyway, he was in it, and that made it more special. And it was just fun being in that universe again for a while.
Sure,
Did
sure.
that answer your question?
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. I'm also interested in the whole platform, the city of Hula Vista. I can imagine Terry getting his weed from Integrity Farms, and Buena Vista is just a stone's throw from South Park here in Colorado. You apparently lived in Colorado. I imagine there's no correlation there, but would the residents of Hula Vista know that they've been framed in your cartoon, or is there a Hula Vista?
There's no Hula Vista as far as I know, except for our Tooniverse. It's funny. My brother lived a long time. He lived in Bailey, and his one of his friends was the sheriff of, was it Fairplay? It's one of those. It's like
Fairplay is South Park. Yeah.
so I don't, or something like that. So basically, I think he was basically the sheriff of South Park. Uh, Personally, I'm not. I kind of have mixed emotions about South Park. It's fine what they do. I the whole Timmy thing got on my nerves because that's what I used to go by.
Oh, that's
And
great. Yeah.
if you know what I mean.
Yeah.
And after a while, I quit going by that. I would just go by as TR, just to stop people from thinking they were the first one to say that thing. But I think now, in hindsight, I can go by Timmy again, which is what I've always gone by. Uh, so, um,
So
yeah, Hula Vista. It started out where it was supposed to be like this California West Coast, because that's the vibe it has. It takes place in the groovy era. Uh, it doesn't have a particular year. It's just an era from like 66 to 72. It's kind of this early 70s deal. And um, it changed. By the time the last page of Summer came out, I was more influenced by places I lived in Alabama and Kansas City with the beautiful hills and trees with the very lush broadleaf forests. And so that's kind of how it changed, but it became a much more fantasy based thing. So it's no longer like California. We really don't mention anything but Kansas, where Rob's from.
okay.
He was influenced by my mom. Her best friend's name was Becky, and Becky is kind of tall with glasses, and she, really nice, really good friend. And she was from Kansas and kind of has an English accent. And it was because she went to college. We figured that was always a joke. So that's kind of how Rob is influenced off her. And she's a librarian now and played the librarian in The Last Page of Summer, the one that goes, shh. So it was really great to get her in there. I got so many friends and relatives in my childhood homes. It's such a special project for me.
Tell me about the girl who speaks nonstop, and then the malt machine blows up. That might be one of the best things I've ever seen in my life.
Oh, Stacy. Yeah. Stacy's been in a few. She was known as Fast Talking Girl at first. She's Tracy Trell's best friend, and she runs Hula Malts. Rob invented that Keikomatic, and you don't see it a lot in the cartoons, but in all of our other things, the Apology and Unfun Hour show where I'm a DJ, where I spin my favorite 60s songs, rare songs, and we have a lot of shenanigans that happen. Pretty much everything Rob invents explodes or has some kind of a horrible effect. So it wasn't any surprise that the Keikomatic exploded and kind of made me a gingerbread man. It didn't really make me into a gingerbread man. It just kind of covered me with the batter, cookie batter. So.
Well, it's a beautiful scene. There's so many beautiful scenes in the film. One of my other favorites that I need to ask you about is where does one find a bassoon shop?
Well, the thing about the bassoon shop is, if you watch it with the dialogue, a week before it was a guitar shop or a general music shop, because remember I said, but Bob was here last week and he showed me some new guitars, and he's, oh, Mr. Smarty Pants, it just became a bassoon shop. It was part of the music elitists getting rid of all the guitar stores.
Oh, that's right. That's right. It's part of that evolution.
Yeah. So everywhere Terry went to get his strings, they became bassoon shops or slide whistle kazoo shops.
Sure. And his quest for strings didn't need to happen because they were sitting on his countertop at home, right?
Well, I was flustered because I saw that Tracy had taken my entire my guitar collection and taken to the laundromat, and they were hanging out on the line. So I was pretty flustered. So I just kind of marched out of the house. I still kind of had my bedclothes on, which were kind of in the whole show. Of course, with me, you can't really tell my bedclothes from whatever I wear. I never mind. Yeah, where were we? We were talking about bassoons and guitar. Yeah, I hate slide whistles. Absolutely hate, not slide whistles. Slide whistles. No, piccolos.
So there's instruments that Apology None would never consider as a band. I imagine.
Yeah, I can't stand piccolos.
You
Not a big fan of saxophones. They're part of the kazoo family. Although we do have some baritone saxes in our songs and occasional other saxes. You gotta use them with, you don't put like 4 cups of oregano in your spaghetti pot,
well,
but some people do, especially like in the 80s. I've never experienced your 80s, thank goodness, where every song had to have that,
Well, the big trend, well, I don't know if it's a big trend, but out here in previous years when Red Rocks was still the most popular place to see bands perform, they would always try to bring in bands that they could collaborate with the Colorado Symphony so that they could appeal to the older audience and maybe the nostalgic audience or a younger audience. But you wouldn't see Apology None ever doing something like that.
I don't know. The Moody Blues were with them, and they were my favorite band. And when they had the symphony with them at Red Rocks, it became bombastic. I think part of it is there were like a whole fleet of piccolos in it, piccolo flutes. And to me, a piccolo flute's like a dog whistle, or it's like a police whistle in your ear. So I'm not adverse to having the Colorado Symphony help us out. I think that would be pretty groovy, actually. I would just kind of tell them, whisper, can you tone down the piccolos?
Well, maybe we'll see if we can arrange a performance jam between Apology None and the Colorado Symphony Orchestra. We're trying to create some collaborations this year because nobody.
That would be really groovy. I just hope that the leader isn't the piccolo player, or he might get his feelings, or she might get her feelings hurt. Actually, Red Rocks is the first concert I ever saw. Was at the Red Rocks.
And what did you see?
Belouis Sum was the opening act, and Frankie Goes to Hollywood were the headliners.
Oh, wow.
It was quite a show. Very good show.
So yeah, you lived in Colorado for a number of years. I remember you telling me that you don't have too many great memories of it, but there's Red Rocks. I mean, Red Rocks is an anchor here. It's half the reason why I think 90% of the state lives here.
It's an amazing place. I got to tell you that. It's like surreal.
Yeah.
And back then we climbed to the top through the cave network.
Yeah.
Which is pretty dangerous. I wouldn't recommend it. They probably have it closed off now. It was a long time ago.
I'm pretty sure that that's not happening anymore.
Yeah. Well, I mean, there was a part where one of the natural holes at the top where it was just straight down onto the bleachers. It had to have been like hundreds of feet. Could you imagine people on dope going up there and sitting on, oh my gosh. That's just scary thinking about it.
So let me ask you, back then when you'd go to Red Rocks, I imagine everybody was probably stoned. Or I don't know, but if you go there today, it's just insane. The entire place is just filled with weed smoke.
Yeah, I'd never been in that crowd. I didn't have a lot of friends when I lived in Colorado. So my friends were my older brother's friends, and he's kind of a Dungeons and Dragons guy.
Oh yeah.
So they really didn't do that stuff. So it wasn't part of my lifestyle. Which, if you notice with Apology None, there's no drug references really.
Yeah.
I think the closest you get is Zen emptying out a pixie stick onto the album cover. But that's just candy. So I don't know. Zen's weird. I don't even know how to describe Zen. He's kind of evolved. He used to be kind of this mysterious stoner guy, and then he became kind of cool in Saturdalia, and now he's just a butthole.
Well, there's a lot for myself. There's a lot left to explore within the Apology None universe, but I would like to talk to you a little bit more about how you approach constructing your animation. And when I think about the detailing and the sets and just how seamless everything is, can you tell me how you utilize digital tools and how everything has sort of evolved over the years for you?
It's generally starts out in order. The backdrops are done in 2D generally, the hills and the clouds and everything. They're all in different layers on a timeline. So I can make the clouds with keyframes go from, move and distort. And then I make a 3D world, whether it be the interior of a house or a cityscape, the cars and the buildings and the streets, the stoplights, all that's in 3D generally. And then that gets blue screened over the backdrop. And then the characters in general are all 2D. So like the me you're looking at right now, I'm 2D. And my backdrop, my radio room behind me is in 3D. And if you look out the window there, that's back to 2D again. So that's generally the system. There are sometimes I'm in 3D, such as where I get launched around the power plant yard and onto the car carrier and down the street. That was entirely 3D there.
Sure.
Or where I jumped off the trampoline onto my bike, stuff like that. But even then, a lot of times my hair will have to be 2D superimposed over the body.
It's a little hard to do the hair in 3D, isn't it?
A little bit, at least to get it to wave and stuff. It's easier to overlay 2D hair over the 3D.
Sure. Well, so your backgrounds, your scenes, they're so richly detailed. Even just looking at this one with the beautiful 35 millimeter projector in your backdrop, how like you've built this fascinating world of detail, and explain how somebody can do that on their own. It just seems to defy the imagination for me.
Oh, well, thanks. I don't know. To me, it's just all necessity. It's just like, well, and I just got to fill it up. And I think it's pretty easy, actually. It's fun. 3D modeling is just a joy to me. It's just, it gives you a chance. What you do is you just, you get a 3D model little thing, and you just make some buildings, and you make some houses. And that's where I decided to make childhood homes and my cousin's houses and my aunt and uncle's house, things like that. Just places that meant a lot to me. And, you just look at pictures and you just take your time and make the house. And it's pretty easy. You make different types of windows, like one with maybe 6 panes and one with 4 panes, one with 2. You save those windows. You save different types of doors. Fortunately, like 3D Studio Max gives you trees, so you can just use their trees. But you can make your own trees too. And just once you make everything, it's just a matter of cloning things and just modifying slightly. And so it's just, once you got your tools made, your lamp posts, then you just spread them out. And so that's kind of part of it. And with the background, you just make you a pretty landscape that you like, and just it's all in layers. And some of those things were from Saturdalia that I use in this world. If you see in Reel 3, when I became a kid with the fly wings, and I was buzzing around, that very Fantasia-esque backdrop, I've transferred that to our world in Hula Vista. So it kind of inherited that fantasy-based landscape. So, it's a little, I hate that smarter, not harder thing, but yeah, reusing stuff is fine. Just as long as you don't go overboard with it. You don't want to be like the Flintstones where they pass the same building every 3 seconds. You don't want to go that, unless you just want to do that hokey stuff on purpose. But uh, yeah, there's a lot of that stuff, you know.
Sure. So
I think I go in a little more detail than some, but then I don't know. I don't talk to a lot of animators. I know I've got um, Terry Summer, just my front view. I've got like over 30 mouth movements. Or some. I think the rule that I read was like 6, but I
the rule is you need at least 6, or you should only have 6.
I guess at least. I know there was some, and there's some types of animation, and I'm not digging on anybody. If whatever's your thing, and as long as it's entertaining, it's fine. But I've seen some where it's just like the mouth is open and closed and in half. It's just like that's it, which is fine. And I'm not saying it's bad. It's just there's a difference in style, and yeah, it kind of makes mine more time consuming having all the different movements. But I get a lot of face time on the films, so you kind of gotta. It's just what necessity demands for my style, and I don't really watch a lot of TV or anything, so the style is just kind of my own. So I've had people say it looks trippy having the 3D and the 2D mixed together. So I don't know. I just do everything out of necessity and what's easiest for me.
Sure, absolutely. Well, it comes together so well, and that's what fascinates me is that sense of style, and that's what creates great animation. It's very interesting to know that you don't reference too many animators or maybe have many influences. And what I would be curious about, because it's such time intensive work, you have a working process, and you're the director, the author, the producer, the creator, the animator, everything. Would you ever look at this project as something that might involve a broader team to be doing what you're already doing?
No. Well, you know what? If some big thing kind of wanted to do something with it and help, yeah, I shouldn't say no. Um, yeah, if they could keep the style, uh, well, even if not, I don't know. Maybe. Let's look at it this way. If somebody said we want to make a new series for our network,
You have
on
30
Apology None, and make you an actual TV series, I would have to, because it took me 3 years to make The Last Page of Summer. I mean, it included a full album soundtrack to it, but called Sky Blue. It's on Amazon. Hint, hint. I'm sorry. Yeah, I would have to have help, I guess, wouldn't I? I'd have to have a team. I mean, The Simpsons and all those, they have a team. They
Yeah,
probably have 100 people. It takes them months or possibly a year just to crank out an episode, So I guess I would have to, wouldn't I?
yeah. Well, for me, there's a huge distinction between, you know, crafting your own project and making sure that it stays aligned versus, what might it look like if it catches fire. And that's always a topic for us on our side when we see things, and even just seeing artists moving on. And I'd like to think that your project has great merit. It's got the best backstory of anything I've ever seen. And so if it has that already, it has a beautiful future, in my opinion.
Well, thanks a lot. It means a lot. And yeah, if they do something with it, well, that'd be great, wouldn't it? My main thing is I could still be Terry, and that the band doesn't change, because they're my family,
Sure,
at
sure.
least in the Tooniverse they are. And in real life, they kind of started out as sort of my family, and then they kind of left, and I ended up doing all the voices for Apology for the band. I ended up doing like 20 voices in the film. But we got like 70 voice actors. There's just a lot of people doing voices,
And you're
which is great. I mean,
doing
but
20 of them.
I'm sorry. What
And
was
you're
that?
doing 20 of them.
Yeah, I did about 20 voices, I guess. You know, um,
Give,
sometimes it's hard to get people,
go
especially.
go
Huh?
into go into one of your other character voices, would you, for a sec?
Oh, let me see.
Is it possible as Terry? I don't know. I want to see what.
Yeah, let me think. I mean, we got Terry. Uh, hang on. I mean, you got Terry. Are these your guitars? And then we got Rob, which is we don't have time for that. You know,
That's
and
it.
then you
I
got
love
Zen Bob, uh, you got to untie your toes first. Uh, and then Barry, rah! That Barry's pretty easy. Um, Tracy Trail, Tracy Trail is a little different. I've got to kind of I got to start low and then pitch it up to get hers.
Wow.
So,
Tim,
it's a matter of.
You are a man of so many talents.
Oh, thanks. Well, I appreciate it. But all the sound effects in the films, none of them are canned. I'll never go to a YouTube library or anything. Everything it's all like they call it Foley or something. Everything is around the house or around town with my recorder. There was a VW engine in one of my films. I actually found a guy driving a VW Bug, and I stopped him and asked if I could get the sound of his engine. That's what I do. I can't stand using anything else. But yeah, the voices are fun to do. And like I said, after my family kind of separated from me, it was kind of depressing, and I didn't know where to go. And my friends were like, well, why don't you just make it a day in the life of Terry Summer? Just make it a short, make it simple. And that's how it started. And as things went on, I realized, well, I can do all these characters myself. And so I got the band back in, and we had so much fun with Saturdalia and all those, but there was so many homages and references to TV shows and stuff. We lost sight of who we were. People didn't really know we were a band. So this one, I'm like, there's gonna be none of that. No homages, none of that. Remember this commercial from 1972 with the coffee? No, none of that. We're gonna show our house, where we hang out at Hula Malts. We're gonna show all around our town and what we do in a normal day, even though the day ended up not being normal, but started out normal. And that was who we were, and all the jokes were our own, and it gave it a very organic feel. And even the evolution of The Last Page of Summer was organic, because it started to build. And as I started learning more about what critics, like the funny ones on YouTube, what they find wrong with films, a lot of it, there's not a good antagonist. I'm like, we don't really have a good antagonist. It's like our Don Heisler TV guy was supposed to kind of be the butthole, and then we really need why not add some drama to this? And we made our Don Heisler guy just kind of silly, and made the antagonist kind of really mean. I wanted the mayor, I wanted him to just suck the life out of every scene he was in. Because the other elitists, the kind of the brutalist people, they're just funny. They're kind of silly, apologize. But the rest of them, I wanted that mayor to really, so I got my cousin Chuck and his wife Pam, my cousins, and her sister Karen. I was in Kansas City visiting, and I showed them my work in progress, and they loved it. And like, do you want to do voices in this? So excuse me, let me get a drink of water. Good, coming a horse. Sorry. What am I saying? So she became my mom, and Chuck, he became the mayor. And I don't know if any of them had acted before. And her sister Karen became Irida Gagu, and she just nailed it. But she's an acting teacher, so it was natural for her. But Chuck, we were trying to get his motivation, the scene where he attacks me. And finally, he grabbed me to the floor and started shaking me up and down doing his lines, which was pretty hilarious. So it's just these people that they don't realize they have this voice acting talent, and you just bring it out of it. And it's amazing how many people are hams and they don't realize it. And it's so neat. That was one of the neatest things about this, was just getting all these friends and family to do that. And my brother, he played Richard, the one with the surfboard in his Jeep. So you get to meet him. I'm excited about going to your festival. All this stuff's been about me and not your festival and junk.
Well, yeah, we can talk a little bit more about the festival in a minute, but before we go there, I want to say that one of my favorite attributes of the film are whenever the cops pull Terry over. To me, those are hilarious scenes, and I want to know, is there personal reference there? uh, pulling voice talent in for this. It just the whole essence of it has so much magic to it.
That's my good friend Tony Dixon. We bounce ideas with each other for all these things. He helps out with that. He played the hat detective in Saturdalia, and it was just natural that he become the cop in this. And I'm not sure how we came up with it. It was just one of the day in the life of Terry. He gets arrested by this, or almost arrested by this cop repeatedly, and the cop calls him a Disney character each time. So it's just part of his journey.
Sure. Well, it's a just an incredible universe of characters, and it's something that just even having this conversation each time we get to talk, I feel like I get more and more depth on what you're doing, and
Thanks. Well, the as far as the universe of characters, we do integrate anthro animals into it, and even in the case of Timmy Transistor, and kind of an anthro. What would you call it? Kind of a thing,
Yeah.
even though he's not. You could tell he has a soul. They all do. I mean, they all just kind of live together. And it's weird. And it because my influences are like Bugs Bunny, the original stuff, and I love like Mad Magazine. That's kind of how I learned to draw that stuff. So I'm definitely old school. And I've had people tell me, basically they wouldn't watch the film because it's not anime. So it's like, but it is what it is. I even hate saying it is what it is, because I'm pretty proud of what it is. I think a lot of other people dig it too. But yeah, thank you. I love the characters in this and just the character universe. It's pretty neat.
What the greatest joy for me to introduce your world at Supernova is that animation covers so much ground, and a lot of the focus within digital today is new ideas, new techniques, new ways of seeing things, and that excites me. It excites me greatly. It's one of the reasons why I've been doing this project. But really, I have 30 years of depth within the arts, and I feel like tools are tools. They're there for people to tell stories and to really follow their muse, and not what society is dictating. And what I'm seeing within your project is just something so beautiful, something that does integrate with even the most cutting edge right now, because it's very genuine, and it's pleasing. And for me personally, I love humor, and I love animation, and the mixture, when it's done right, I think is really, really rare. And that's what I'm seeing here with the
Oh, thank you. I take humor very seriously.
I can see that.
I mean, really, it's a delicate art. There's a finesse to it. You can if you make a joke and you pile another joke on top of it, you'll cancel out that joke. You've got to really be subtle with it. That's why I consider the humor in this very organic. There's things that happen to me in real life in this. The guy where I was depressed and called and said that I could ride on a sailboat in a sailboat race and then cancel because there were already too many people. That happened to me in real life. The taxis. I was in London and my feet gave out, and I asked a taxi, if he could take me to the Tower Bridge, and he said I had to go to the front of the queue. So I went to the front of the queue, and he said he was only allowed to make left turns. That happened. A lot of these things happen to me in real life. Being the only person on the tilt-a-whirl, there's just some things are just funny, and you just got to include them because they're things you can't make up.
So I now I have to ask you, when the ladies invite you into the swimming pool, and moments later they're pulling your head out of the little niche on the side of the pool, did that really happen?
No, because in real life I don't have that many friends who would help me. I would just be stuck there screaming.
That's one of just many favorite scenes of mine. It's the whole film is pure joy. So I am excited for you to come out here to Denver. It's the Supernova experience is one that very few people really understand unless they get to have that experience. And this year, we're not sure what to expect with the pandemic, with the we don't even know what's going to happen next month. Literally, and let alone from day to day right now. But we have a really interesting platform where when you put this work onto the street and the way it can draw people's attention, I've always been fascinated by this idea that people can show up to see what they're interested in, make new discoveries. But when there's people on the street that have no idea that there's this incredible animated exhibition and a film like yours, watching the reactions is what I enjoy the most, and it's like the most pleasant surprise. So I'm excited for you to be coming out. We're not really necessarily encouraging that artists come visit us, but even within the last 2 days, I've talked to 2 other artists that now say they're coming out. Like maybe we'll have more for the live event than we would imagine. So you know, you're familiar with Denver a little bit, but what are your expectations for wanting to come see this?
I'm excited. Well, just the fact that when you sent me the video of the LED billboard with my face on it, I'm like, wow, that I shared it with everybody, like on my Face album book and stuff. And my friend Tony even told me, so do you hate Colorado now? I'm like, yeah, but that's still pretty cool. And I do want to go out and see it, you know. I mean, that was really meant a lot. And this means a lot, the interview. It means a lot when people watch it and enjoy it, because as an artist, don't ever, you know, an artist will not accept people saying, oh, it just matters if you like it. It's not how it works. We totally feed off of input, and there's nothing worse than indifference. So I've got a lot of that. And I think the animations are changing that a little bit, and definitely wanted to get this one out there.
Sure.
And, you know, people's reactions, it is neat. I showed this at the Playhouse. I do plays, you know, Camelot, and all that stuff. But they're doing it under the stars now because of the stuff. And you know how when the terror builds in the last page of Summer and the lightning storm builds, we had one in real life that was over the Georgia line coming closer, and the lightning was getting brighter, and kind of made us nervous, but it gave us this wonderful ambiance and a wonderful breeze. And it was neat hearing what people were laughing at the most, because it's always different. People take, any different person that watches it takes a different thing out of it that was the funniest moment, which is really neat. I love those reactions, and I would love going to film festivals and seeing the people's reactions. And it's kind of lame that a lot of them are getting canceled and are just being online, because you miss that. That's what makes them special. So I'm really glad you're doing yours, and the fact that it's going to be on that one really cool round billboard.
Yeah,
I'm really psyched about going there and seeing all this and meeting you, and just seeing people that are into animation stuff. That's really cool.
Well, I love what you said about doing the plays outside now, and just the ambiance that you can get, because that's something that we've struggled with, not really struggled with, but like had to deal with from the very start of this project, this idea that we're putting something that nobody has seen outside before in the most public setting, and that you know, you can have Terry on our billboard. Terry's on the billboard downtown all day long, all month long. I mean, you know, he's there all day right now.
That's groovetastic, and they get to see me turn into an airplane, a jet plane, which is really that's my bag, baby. You know, even though it more reflects my imagination.
Yeah, well, it's hard cutting a 30-second piece from an hour long feature film, but you know, to me, it's the whole idea of putting something unexpected outside. And when you do that, you have to also deal with unexpected consequences. So, you know, I was telling Molly last night in our interview, last year we had the best time with the whole day of Supernova. Everything went really, really well. We had a lot of artists. The camaraderie was great. And the screenings went up until I think 10:15. And as soon as the last short ended, it started raining like crazy, and we all rushed over to this space that was next to the temporary LED screen, and had just a throwdown little closing party that was extraordinary. You go, those are moments that you don't expect. We've had issues in the past where it's gotten so rainy and bad that, you know, I'm sitting there freezing going, why am I doing this? But it makes the best memories. And you know, to me, what I love about Supernova is that as a live event, it's incredible. But as a project, it's about the artists, and it's about you. It's about everybody, and it's this joy of discovery. So I'm really excited for you to be with us.
Well, when I come out there, I want to interview you about Supernova, because I want to know more about it and its history and how it got its name and all that. I think that's really neat too.
You can do that. I would love to have that opportunity. So before we wrap up, I do want to mention a couple things. You were starting to put a little plug in for your for Apology None on Amazon, and I did go to Amazon the other night, and that's where I started seeing your albums. I saw that they were also on Spotify, which is a platform that I use a lot. I think it's great that you're all over the place now. There's a lot of opportunities for discovery. But one thing that I have to ask you about is, when am I going to get my T-shirt, which I ordered from the Apology None store 2 nights ago?
Oh, you ordered one? Thanks.
I did, yes.
Oh, they take probably a week or two.
Week or two? Okay.
Yeah, they gotta make them and send them out. It's funny. It's just it's a third party consignment, not a consignment shop, but it's they make them on demand. So I really don't get anything for them, but it allows people, it allows a venue, because I don't have a big enough base to buy a bulk package of anything.
Sure.
I would just have this big giant box of T-shirts that would go nowhere. You know what I mean? So hopefully that'll change, right?
Yeah.
But yeah, I've got CDs on Amazon. Nobody buys CDs anymore. I don't even have a way to play them anymore. So I mean, you know, check us out on Spotify and all those places. I think we're on probably the Apple one, the
iTunes. Yeah, there's
yeah, we're probably on all of those. So, you know, add those to your playlist. That would mean a lot to me if it is, you know, if a couple of our songs could become part of people's daily routine and stuff. You know, that's the main thing. It's not about, I don't make much on the CDs either, because they're just it's another on-demand thing.
well.
So, but it's never been about money to me. It's just about loving. I think if you do it for the money, I don't know how you would put your soul into anything. You know.
I agree, and that's why I love what you're doing. It's pure, it's magical, and there's so much more to explore. And I hope that this interview and showcasing the last page of Summer at Supernova will open doorways, or just allow more people to discover what you're doing. So Tim, let's end there. It's just such a pleasure to have your work as part of the festival this year. I can't wait to hear what others think of Terry and the Gang, and without apologies. And
yeah, no apologies. I'd change the name of the band if I did something like that, right?
Absolutely. Well, I look forward to meeting you here in Denver next month. I'm sure we'll talk before that time.
Well, thanks, and thank you for taking the time to chat in junk, right?
Absolutely. It's just the greatest pleasure.
Well, I look forward to meeting you and seeing your really groove-tastic fest. I'm so thrilled that you chose Last Page of Summer. Thank you.
All right. Take care.
You too.
See you, Tim.
All right. Bye.